Welcome back to Game Informer. We are looking at another one of our favorite games of the year. This time it's Disco Elysium. I'm Leo Vader. With me today is Ben Reeves.
Hello.
Andrew Reiner.
What up, man?
And Joe Juba.
Hey.
Where did this rank in everyone's top 10s for the year?
Oh,
In it.
yeah, I don't remember what number it is. It's top 5, I think.
Yeah, for me too.
Same.
Quite high for me. Number 1.
Wow.
That's the lowest number there is.
Yeah, that's a very low number, dude. Why did you hate this game so much?
Yeah, no, it's true. No, like the interesting thing is, for me, it was between this and The Outer Worlds, and I played them both basically back to back for review.
Yeah.
So right
And-
here, by the way, if you're looking at this, is what Disco Elysium is all about. Excellent writing, excellent art design throughout the entire game.
Yeah, and
Sorry, Joe.
and making a lot of like dialogue choices.
And the
stuff.
writing's on the right-hand side. The art's on the left.
Those are called words.
Yeah, just to...
But no, for me, I reviewed them both very close to each other. And one thing I find is that like now with some distance, as I look back on both of them, I just think about Disco Elysium so much more. I had a great time with The Outer Worlds, but there's just some spark to this game that is that just stuck with me more, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's different.
For sure. And I will say early on, we're on the first day of the game, very early here, and we're going to try to avoid late game story spoilers.
Yeah. I know when this came out, there were a lot of people who were saying, oh, man, I'm glad I played Outer Worlds before I played this, because they were thinking that somehow it would ruin they would think less of Outer Worlds after playing this game. I don't know if you had the similar experience, Joe.
I mean, they're kind of apples and oranges. I guess they both technically fall within the like RPG category.
Yeah.
But this is very much an old like exploration adventure like CRPG. It doesn't
Right.
even have a combat system.
It's open world.
You know.
As I brought up earlier, it's different. Whereas comparing the two, Outer Worlds is they were trying to make a Fallout experience, right? Their own IP, but everything that we love about those Fallout games.
Right.
This is just something completely new, and it just won me over with its writing. Like,
Yeah.
I just adored
Dumb yellow
the dialogue and the choice and how all that matters too.
Yeah.
And if you have to compare it to something, it's more of a D&D thing. It's very free form, and I feel like you have a million ways to deal with anything, or at least a million ways anything can go.
I mean, just look at this for a second. These are all of the things you can put points in, right? Like when you level
Yeah,
up.
so 4 categories.
And you're not just putting it in categories. You're individually putting points into these things to like help you get. So if you put more points in physical instrument, then you get better at breaking down a door. You get a higher chance of doing that, right? Like it's crazy.
Right.
This is Leo Vader's character build here.
Yes.
Very intelligent.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You wanted to try something different, I see.
It's very different from mine. I was strong on psyche and physique. So this is basically the
You're
opposite.
a psychic detective.
This is basically the opposite of the character I played.
Yeah, I like this kind of character because it's high in intellect of like being able to pull facts about the world, but low in actual empathy
Yeah.
and people skills.
Yeah.
Which is
Can you
interesting
just
to play out.
Are you able to detect lies and stuff like that?
Factual lies.
Okay.
But not as much like reading people.
Because like for mine, my like key skill, your key skill is encyclopedia here.
Right.
So that means you just know stuff.
It'll constantly be just popping up with a random fact about something somebody just said.
Yeah.
And you can conceptualize too.
Whereas mine was Inland Empire was my key one. So I was just getting hunches.
Oh.
Like it just gave me like gut instinct and intuition all the time.
Just look how different that is though from your typical RPG. Like those categories.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
would all be
It's just
under
wild.
persuade.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been like trying to role play a little bit as like the the dude from the Big Lebowski,
Oh,
which has been
interesting.
surprisingly works pretty well in this game, just because like you can play as kind of like a laid back, almost stoner character. But my guy has struggles with substances,
Big
which kind
time.
of like plays into the game
Yeah.
in a fun way.
And you're constantly having internal monologues, conversations with yourself about that stuff.
Right.
It's represented really interestingly.
I mean, so many of your interactions in this game is like you just talking to yourself.
Right.
Like here, I guess here's a narration, but I bet here's like your interfacing skill. That's kind of cool.
Pops up.
Yeah.
Mouse
it
over that
shows you.
medium thing. The medium success by interfacing.
Yeah. So
Right.
Just to show the role there.
yeah. So it's told you needed a 10, you got an 11 to make that work.
I love that.
And if you miss that, it just doesn't show anything.
Right.
A lot of times you don't notice you missed anything.
Ooh, I wonder if we can steal a range check.
Sometimes it'll show up stuff like that, and like something like, "Oh, your logic says this," and it'll give you like, it almost feels like hints in the dialogue trees. It's like, "Oh, I should ask this guy about his shoes or something,"
Yeah.
and that might unlock something. So it kind of feels like you're. I heard somebody compare it to you have a party inside your head.
Yeah.
You kind of
Totally.
do. You have all these different like facets of your personality, which is kind of fun.
For sure.
Yeah, a party in your head is definitely an accurate way to describe the way that
And-
feels.
The guy walking with you,
Feel free
the
to look
lieutenant,
around
he kind of
and
keeps you
everything's
grounded.
on the
Yeah,
shelves.
I love
He's hilarious.
Yeah, Lieutenant Kitsuragi is, I think, definitely one of my favorite characters this year. Because you are just such a hot mess as a detective, right? That
I don't know. Frick.
he is just the perfect response to however you as a player
A 7-7
choose
grocery store.
to take your personality.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a perfect straight man.
Yeah.
Totally.
In a lot
And
of
if you're
ways,
doing things that are like illegal or whatever, sometimes he'll just turn and pretend not to notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just does not want to get involved with
Like,
you.
oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
And so you have encyclopedia popping in all the
Look
time.
at you rolling a 12.
Yeah. I feel like this is good for a first playthrough because you learn about the world with those encyclopedic facts.
Yeah. There's also you also just run into some there's several super racist characters in this game.
Several.
And depending
Well,
on
even in their name, it said racist.
yeah,
blah, blah,
racist
blah.
lorry driver.
Yeah,
There's a guy named Measurehead who's basically like into phrenology and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, if you side with those guys, you definitely feel bad because then Kim ends up being, thinking that you're a psychopath.
Yeah.
You mean this?
Your character can be kind of messed up at times too. I'll get down a track of talking where it's like, I don't want to say any of these objects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When at some point you end up just being like, am I going to say I'm real down with racism? Am I real down with
I'm more of a
communism?
misogynist type of guy.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
like,
Am I just playing it up because I'm trying to solve this case?
I also
Right.
like this. Look, asking about the magazine, Police de la Mode featured on. This speaks to you. I approve of this. Very futuristic. Tap on girls kissing.
Girls kissing.
And this game really walks an interesting line between being very funny, like the writing is very funny, but at the same time the world is very grim, and it goes between the serious and the irreverent really well.
I think they balance
Yeah.
clever with intelligent very well. in
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Like, it is a very heady game, but at the same time, at the right moments, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
But I would
It
definitely
gives you-
describe it as clever. Like
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
overly meta or anything. It's just like
Correct.
really smart jokes about everything that's going
yeah.
on.
And not in such a pretentious way that it feels like it's up its own butt about it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just engaging.
And it's developed by Zayum.
Zayum?
Zaum? I don't know.
Zaum?
How you're supposed to
I don't know how
say
you
it.
pronounce it.
ZA/UM.
Zaum.
Okay.
Yeah, that slash really throws a wrench in that whole
Yeah.
pronunciation.
They came pretty out of nowhere, right? Have they done anything before this? Do we know?
I don't think so.
I can check here.
But this is the game this year that I didn't know I wanted.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't even on my radar and ended up being like just one of the best experiences, which doesn't happen often. Usually you have some kind of lead up to a game, marketing
Right.
or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a case where because we had a real busy holiday issue going on, we didn't actually have a review of this up the day it came out. And it was one of those where so many people were speaking so highly of it that I was like, well, I mean, I have to check this one out.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to check it out.
It just ended up being this total surprise.
Yeah, and this happened twice this year. It was Disco Elysium, and then in March, I believe, with Apex Legends. No marketing whatsoever,
Oh,
no
yeah.
lead up. That game just out of nowhere came out, and it's by one of my favorite developers, Respawn.
Yeah.
That one was like, well, they intentionally.
Yeah,
like,
but
held
I mean,
back.
it's
with this, it was more like, oh, this is just an indie team.
exactly. Yeah, nobody was really
Now
paying
everybody's
attention to
talking
it.
about this?
Maybe some people.
If it
but-
didn't get that word of mouth, like, could this really have slipped under the radar despite how good it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it's kind of scary
Yeah.
thinking about it.
ZoomStudio.com, Disco Elysium is the only thing on it. They don't have any other games page or anything.
Is there an about like where they're from?
Let's see.
I was reading up like an interview or something with the writer, and he apparently wrote a novel that's set in this world, was like, oh, great, I want to read it. And I was trying to look that up, and it's like, well, it's not out yet. It doesn't come out until like next year.
Oh, well, then he wrote the game first.
I wasn't totally clear on what happened.
Right.
It's the game adaptation.
Order. Yeah.
I
know
would.
it's set in this universe, but it has different characters.
I would read that in a heartbeat. This is
Yeah.
one of those games. So it's like if we look at the, I wonder if will it let me pull up the map? Do we even have a map? Okay,
Not at this point.
we
yeah.
don't have the map yet. But the map in this world is pretty small actually. But the world just feels so big because
Yeah.
of it. Just feels like it has this long history behind it.
I will boot this game up and go into one building and talk and look around, and it'll be an hour. And
Yeah.
I'll be like, all right,
Yeah.
time for bed.
yeah.
I just had this one little contained experience with so much going on in it, like a ton of little stories playing out.
But it's satisfying, right? It's not
Very.
like laborious like a lot of RPGs where you're just talking to people in towns and it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everything
Every
here
conversation
gives you
has-
context and helps flesh out that world and the characters.
Totally.
It's fantastic.
Every conversation you have has some kind of meaning, even if it's not like connected to the main story. I felt it was
I
valuable.
mean, look at all this choice. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's just fun to imagine. I'm getting caught up in it again.
It's
I like the story too. Like I like the overall narrative. It's got a good murder mystery hook, which I haven't even finished, and we're not going to spoil, so don't worry about that. But it's really interesting the way it goes
So
in unexpected ways. You know.
we saw this stuff before. I want to back up for a second just to illustrate.
I love that you could scroll.
Where-
I love this.
So there are passive passive things that are happening. So you have a skill called reaction speed that the game just sort of made a check for you to see whether or not you got this little like nugget of information. But then there are more active checks, like down here, we're sort of actively checking against our volition. And we get some bonuses to it because we've called Slipstream before. We have a wax cylinder. So we can try it, and then once we do, the game will it's randomized. It'll just do this
You
check.
should do it.
We failed.
makes
Come
sense.
on, Joe.
But our volition is really low as part of it.
yeah,
Right.
they,
There are
they
ways
gave you
to
the
try
odds.
it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate a lot.
So if we increase our volition, if we dump a skill point into that, then we can try that skill again, or that check again, with a higher chance of succeeding.
But there are other ways to do it. I reopened a check because I then went and helped that person out, and I had like a +1 to it because they liked me more.
Yep,
I got to
yep.
try it
Oh,
again.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are lots of ways to go about it. Yeah, that's Leo.
I
likes,
love the bookstore, but it is kind of longer.
Yeah, Leo likes these guys down here.
I like you're just
I
walking
do.
around with the crowbar. It's a Half-Life tie-in game.
Yeah.
They're over to your left.
It is funny how you end up dressing because clothes give you buffs, so
Yeah.
you can rely on those hideous gloves for a long time.
Yeah. Well, and you just end up looking terrible all the time.
There's no really cool outfit.
But you're solving murders. I guess we should point out.
You're a detective.
You're a
Oh, yeah.
detective doing stuff.
Have you no shame?
Oh, this is a long conversation.
Every time you bring out the measuring tape,
You can make it quick, dude.
Okay, we'll make it quick.
you're a man with a
Basically, there's just these two old guys who are playing a
I am
game.
trying to, but
And
you
some of
keep
it's voice
breaking
acted,
my
not all of it.
concentration.
Yeah, it tends to be voice acted for a bit and then falls out. Oh man, I love this one.
Do number 2.
Stop grabbing your ass like it's a girl.
Okay,
Ball time.
I just
like physical instrument is one of my favorite personality facets that you have, just because this image is just so like stark, but then I also it's just so zealous. Like he's all like anytime it's just punching or athletics, he's always just like do
grab a
it.
ball and play it.
Yeah,
I got this ball time, please.
I got this. Ball time.
It's so good.
Okay, don't even.
Spirit. Don't
Show
waste
them
your
how
breath
it's done,
asking.
dude.
Oh, you got
it.
this.
You got this. Really.
Plus,
good.
and you get a +2 to this because you're acting without
94. If you
hesitation.
fail this, I'll be amazed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Boom.
You're gonna nail it.
Oh, this is.
Guess what?
perfect.
Bring
It's
it home.
ball time.
Reward time.
Hail
I'm gonna
Mary.
hit one of them in the face.
No matter. You'll make it
Feel
work.
the ball. Okay.
It's a cold metal ball.
Taking the surroundings. Time stands still.
Yeah, that's good.
There's time for a last glance inward. Who am I?
Who am I?
Wait, here we go. The only thing left is the union of man and ball. An embodiment of pure emotion, a fine-tuned locomotor running at maximum efficiency.
Be the bullet.
Yep.
Be the bullet. Oh, nailed it.
Beautiful toss.
Murder.
It's pretty good.
Uh,
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you have your like different facets of your personality.
And
like,
that one
talking to
directly
each other.
references what Rhetoric just said. Like,
yeah, that's interesting.
it's
Yes.
incredible how much writing there is in this.
Yeah, so your rhetoric pulls out the funny phrase, and then the visual calculus is like, actually, you threw that pretty far.
Yeah.
How long would you guys say your playthroughs have been? Leo, obviously yours is huge.
I'm trying to see everything. Yeah, I haven't finished it yet, actually.
Mine was 40. Well, and like the game, because it sort of has a non-linear story structure. It's a lot of sort of self-driven, like we've been doing here, little
Yeah.
scenarios that you kind of find yourself. You end up like it can take. I think I finished the game on the 6th day, maybe the 5th day, but like it could go as
Right.
it could go later. I think you could even do it sooner.
Like Shenmue.
Oh, another
The days are really
huge
long.
contender. It's one of those things too where like I'll wander into like a store like looking for information, just kind of gather stuff, and kind of like the Skyrim element of like, oh, I'm going here for one thing, and I walk away with like 2 extra quests. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
Where I'll
yeah.
talk to a bunch of other people, and then like now I have more stuff to do.
That little story playing out is so funny to me. Of you just being so excited to be a part of the game and just being so
Pick it
confident
up.
in your throw, and then you just ruin their game and lose
I
one of their
got
balls.
this. Don't
and you
worry.
have to go get a replacement ball for them.
Yeah, which I already had when I did that.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah,
never.
it's very
I hadn't
funky.
figured out where the ball is yet. That's interesting.
I must not have blown it because I remember finding the ball, but I didn't know what to do with it. Like I didn't have the quest to go replace it for them.
And there's a pawn shop, and it looks like you can pawn like any item you have, which I worry I would accidentally pawn something.
Yeah.
crucial.
The odds of accidentally pawning something are high.
Yeah.
I was never able to. This is one of the few things I didn't do myself. Check this out.
Oh, it's impossible.
Oh, it's still tough.
Yeah.
Well,
No, you got a shot, man.
It says impossible, but if you roll
Oh.
double 6s, you succeed anything. So there's always a chance you could like
We
pull
could just
it off.
Right.
save before it reboot.
Does
you-
that work?
it does work.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's not super fun. And
No.
well, and another thing I'll say that I really like about this game is it doesn't do this all the time, but sometimes what seems like a failure actually ends up working in your favor, right? So like there's a part later in the game where someone throws something at you and it's like, "Hey, copper, catch." And if you catch it, I think you just catch it. But I failed to catch it because my hand-eye coordination was so bad. And so the thing hit me. So then I was able to like basically squeeze the guy for $25 because I told him I was going to like turn him in for for like attacking an officer because he threw something at me.
Yeah.
So because I failed that check, I actually ended up being like $25 richer than I would have been.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
even if it's not in your favor, like D&D, failure can lead to an interesting story playing out
Yeah.
that's
Right.
still worthwhile.
I always
Though-
do those checks, and like if I fail, I just keep going just to see like what happens next.
Right.
Though there are times like trying to get this body down out of this tree here where it's like failure isn't a funny, cool thing. It's just you just blow it and then you
Yeah.
Right.
stall until you can try the check again.
That was one of those things
So-
where you have to get this body down, and I saw that I had a 3% chance of succeeding. As I was like, oh, I'm not even going to do it. And so I just kept playing in other areas of the game until I finally talked to you, Joe, and you're like, oh, you have to get the body down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I
it's
didn't
like
even
the
know
thing.
that.
I'm not going to do that right now,
Yeah.
but
One thing I
that's
should
where the
point out,
body is.
this is on PC right now, but in 2020 it is coming to PS4 and Xbox One.
Game of the
Right.
Year edition, I'm sure.
I mean, I'm sure someone's giving it that
It's going to
award.
be the Joe Juba game of,
I mean,
of
yeah,
the year
it's got
edition.
my personal game of the year, so
Just put his face on the box.
Joe Juba edition.
Thumbs up, yeah.
That kind of looks like you.
oh man, I love the resolution to what happened here, why there are tire tracks and what
Yeah.
happened to this fence. That's really
good.
interesting.
It's good stuff, actually.
How far are you in the game, Reiner?
I'm done.
You finished
Oh,
it?
wow.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
done.
Cool.
Congrats.
So I've been playing this and Outer Worlds at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one is unabridged choice, and that's this.
Yeah.
where it's really weighted and heavy and meaningful. And then in the Outer Worlds, you'll have some moments that are interesting, but they're very quick, right? Like everything you do is like kind of has an immediate payoff, either with your the companion or the stuff you're doing with the world. So they feel very distinct, and I like that. Like I think both are great, and they both do the things that they're setting out to in really big and fun ways.
We all love the Outer Worlds here.
Yeah. We're not throwing shade at Outer Worlds, but this
a
one's more of
relevant
the
thing
thinking man's or thinking person's game, and Outer Worlds, it's just like, oh, I'm gonna lie to this person, just for fun.
I choose to lie.
Yeah. This also is one of my favorite moments of the year with the resolution to the Sing karaoke quest.
I just got the thing I need to do that quest finally. So I'm excited to check it out.
I really like that. I also want to take a second to talk about how amazing this concept is, which I guess we don't have anything in here right now. But the idea of the thought cabinet is that there are all of these different potential things. Oh, we can start one. There we go.
There you go. So it has research time there.
Right. So it's 6 hours and 5 minutes of in-game time that needs to be spent. Like you're basically like mulling over this. You're thinking about it. And then when it hits, you get permanent bonuses or, I mean, they're not always bonuses. Sometimes they're like negative things.
Yeah.
Or have negative parts about them.
Right. But they all sort of reflect this idea of like this whole concept is just like you trying to figure out like what happened to you, where you're from, some like stuff about just what your life is in general.
And in 6 hours, you come to a conclusion about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this system. In my playthrough, I've made room for a lot of them. Like,
I maxed it out. I ended up spending, well, partially because these are cool little like character moments, right? You get access to some of these based on like aces high and aces low are all about like whether or not you high five someone. And then you get one or the other.
And you just ponder it for hours after.
Yeah. And then you just think about it, and then that results in some sort of bonus. It's just
genius.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. And your interaction with the guy who's in charge of the cafe here is like really cements it as just like what a dirtbag you are as a character.
Yep.
That you've just like trashed your room and not paid for several nights, and you owe him a bunch of money. And yeah, it's really something.
Yeah, what a game. I think that's a pretty good look at it.
Yeah. You absolutely have to play it. Like if you have a computer and you love RPGs or even the old school kind of adventure games, it's awesome. It really is.
It is one of the few games I played this year that felt like a step forward in games. It's amazing.
It's unique.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter sort of musing that this is one of those moments of like people will think of RPGs in the future as like before Disco Elysium and after Disco Elysium.
Kind of like the Witcher quest.
Yeah, exactly. Is that like this game in the future will be held up as an example of like, or will be held up kind of like as an origin point for an approach that people weren't taking before.
Yeah, I definitely want to see more games that are bold enough to not have combat, right? Like that don't feel like, oh, we need to have combat. Like, well, this is kind of an example that you don't, as long as you do it well.
Love that about it.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thanks, guys. Stay tuned to Game Informer. We're going to have more of these type of videos about all our favorite games of the year throughout the holiday break. So keep it locked.
Keep it locked.
Keep it locked. That's what we always say.
Keep it locked. Keep it locked.
I like keep it locked.